you ever get that feeling that you're just missing something? You know, in conversations, at work, like there are these unwritten rules that everyone else seems to get. Well, that feeling is real. There's a hidden game being played all around us, and in this explainer, we're going to learn how to finally see it.
And this is really the heart of it all. The world isn't always playing the same game you are. And yeah, that can feel a little unsettling at first, but trust me, understanding it is incredibly powerful. Once you accept this one idea, a lot of confusing human behavior starts to make a whole lot more sense.
So let's start with that feeling, that little gap between what people are saying and what you sense is really going on underneath. If you've ever felt that disconnect, you are not imagining things. It's happening in pretty much every corner of our lives.
And these scenarios, they probably feel pretty familiar, right? On the surface, a company says, we reward the best work. But in reality, promotions go to whoever plays the political game best. Or a friend says they're happy for your success, but you can just feel that competitive tension. These are the moments where the invisible game starts to crack through the surface.
Now, let's be really clear about something. This isn't about being cynical. Seeing these hidden dynamics isn't about becoming suspicious of everyone or jaded about the world. It's about gaining clarity. It's about navigating the world with wisdom, instead of just hoping for the best.
So here's the crucial idea. There are always two games happening at the same time. Let's break down what they are. You've got the visible game, and then you have the invisible one. First up, the visible game. This is everything on the surface, the official story, the rules they tell you, the public image someone projects. And this is the game most of us are taught from day one to pay attention to. But underneath all that, there's the invisible game. And this is where the real action is. This game is driven by what people truly want, what they're terrified of losing, and the deep needs they are trying to protect, no matter what. This is the game that actually dictates how people behave. This really lays it all out. In the visible world, you get what people say, the rules they claim to follow, the image they project. But in the invisible world, you find what people really want, the fears they hide, and the needs they protect. Understanding the invisible game means looking past the performance. And this is probably the most important distinction you can ever learn. People rarely act from the reasons they give you. They act from the motives they feel. The stated reason, that's for the audience. The felt motive, that's for them. If you really want to understand why people do what they do, you have to search for the motive.
Okay, so this is a really powerful theory, right? But how does it actually work in the real world? How do we start to see this invisible game? Well, let's look at 5 common patterns that you can start spotting in your daily life.
Let's get really concrete and look at 5 patterns that just pull back the curtain on these hidden motives. Okay, think about the last pointless argument you saw online. Was it really about finding the objective truth? Or was it about one person trying to look smarter, or more moral, or just more powerful than the other? So often, the invisible game is a battle for social status, not a search for facts.
This one explains so much about the workplace. The visible game says, we reward talent and innovation. But the invisible game, it often rewards the people who don't rock the boat, who follow orders, and who make their bosses look good. See, excellence can be threatening. Obedience, that's safe.
This can be a tough one to look at. The visible game of a relationship is all about love and partnership. But sometimes the invisible game is about a deep fear of being alone, or a need for financial stability, or just the desire for a predictable life. The commitment can sometimes be a mask for dependency. You ever been in a meeting where everyone seems to agree, but you can tell nobody's actually excited about the idea? That's the invisible game of avoiding rejection. The need to belong is so powerful that it often just stomps all over our desire to be authentic. So what looks like consensus is often just collective fear. And finally, think about the performance of confidence. You know, the loudest person in the room is often not the most secure. That boldness is frequently just a shield, a performance designed to hide some pretty deep insecurity. Real confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to shout. Okay, so now we can spot these patterns out in the wild, but how do we get better at seeing them for ourselves? How do we develop this skill? Let's dive into some practical steps. This is your practical toolkit. And notice the theme here, right? It's all about shifting your focus from words to reality. Watch what people do, not what they say. Notice what they fiercely protect, not what they preach about.
Look at their repeated choices. That's their real belief system. And observe what costs they're willing to pay. That tells you everything about their true priorities.
Let's just pause on this for a second, because this is absolutely crucial. We get so trapped by someone's potential, what they could be, what they promise. But potential is a dream. A consistent pattern of behavior, that is the truth. It's time to start trusting the truth.
And all of this brings us to the most important part. Seeing the invisible game isn't supposed to make you cynical. It's meant to set you free. This kind of clarity, it's a genuine superpower.
This is what you get. This is the freedom clarity gives you. When you see the real game, you stop wasting your time and energy on situations that will never work out. You can set boundaries with confidence. You can walk away from a bad job or a draining friendship without all that confusion, because you see it for what it is. You get to stop playing games you never even signed up for. You take your power back.
I just love this reframe. Clarity isn't about being cold or putting up walls. It's an act of self-respect. It's giving yourself the gift of seeing the world as it is so you can protect your peace and engage with life on your own terms, with your eyes wide open.
So I'll leave you with this question. As you go about your day-to-day, tomorrow, what invisible game will you start to notice? In your work, in your friendships, maybe even in yourself. Because once you start looking, you can't unsee it. And that, right there, is where your power begins.